You know what nobody tells you about economic collapse? It's not the big dramatic moment that gets you. It's Tuesday afternoon when you realize that 9 items sitting in your junk drawer are worth more than your entire 401k. The manual opener you bought for $5? Suddenly worth 1,000 because nobody else kept one when the power died. I've been prepping since 2012, and let me tell you something that took me years to figure out. We've all been looking at value completely wrong. Every financial advisor, every investment guru, they're all playing by rules that only work when the lights stay on and the trucks keep rolling. But when those systems break down and history shows us they always do, the real currency becomes whatever solves immediate problems that only appear when modern life stops working. Here's what really happens when society starts unraveling. It's the slow-motion disaster where first shipments get delayed, then they stop coming altogether. That corner store that always had everything? Down to canned peaches and stale crackers. And that's when regular everyday items in your house right now become more valuable than gold. Think about Venezuela in 2016. People trading family jewelry for toilet paper. Or Bosnia during the siege. Manual can openers so valuable people traded a month's worth of food for one. These aren't history lessons. This is happening right now in parts of the world. The items that become priceless? They're sitting in your house right now, in your junk drawer, your bathroom cabinet, your kitchen. You walk past them every day without realizing you're walking past a fortune. So today, I'm sharing 9 items in your house right now that most people completely overlook. But when systems fail, these become worth $1,000 each. Not generators or gold bars. Items you bought for under $10 that solve problems only appearing when modern life stops working. Check your house tonight. Count how many you have. Because by the end of this video, you're sitting on $9,000 of collapsed currency and didn't even know it. Let's start with number 1. Number 1, manual grain mill. Hand crank style, $40 to $60 depending on the model. Worth $2,000 when flour disappears from shelves. Here's why. Whole wheat berries stored properly last 30 years. 30 years. You can buy 50-pound bags right now for $20. But here's the problem nobody thinks about. Flour lasts 6 months. Maybe 8 if you're lucky. Then it goes rancid. Bugs get in. It's done. So everyone stockpiles flour thinking they're prepared. 6 months into collapse, that flour is trash. But whole grains? Still perfect after 3 decades. The manual grain mill is what converts long-term storage into usable flour. And you can't just smash wheat with a rock. Believe me, people try. Doesn't work. You need actual milling to break it down into flour consistency. Back in 2019, I tested this personally. Bought a 50-pound bag of wheat berries. Tried grinding with a mortar and pestle. 45 minutes of work for 2 cups of chunky, unusable grain bits. Bought a $40 manual mill. Same amount took 6 minutes and the perfect flour came out. That's when it clicked. Without this tool, all those wheat berries are worthless. During the Great Depression, families with grain mills survived. Families without them starved next to bags of whole wheat they couldn't process. Hand mills became more valuable than livestock. Check if you have one tonight. If not, get one tomorrow. Store it with your wheat. Because 30-year food storage means nothing without the tool to use it. Next item costs $3. Number 2, elastic cord. Bungee cord material by the foot. Not the pre-made cords with hooks. I'm talking about raw elastic shock cord you buy on a spool. 50 cents to $1 per foot. Worth $20 to $50 per foot when everything needs securing and rope doesn't cut it anymore. Here's why. Rope is static. You tie something down, it holds that exact tension. But elastic cord maintains constant pressure. That tarp over your shelter? Regular rope goes slack when wind shifts or material contracts. Elastic cord adjusts automatically. Keeps tension through temperature changes, movement, and stress. And here's what makes this worth $20 a foot in collapse. You can't manufacture elastic without industrial rubber processing. The cord existing right now is the last generation for years. Back in 2018, I was securing supplies in my truck bed. Used regular rope, every bump loosened it. Had to stop 3 times to retighten. Next trip I used elastic cord. Drove 8 hours on rough roads. Nothing moved, not once. That's when it clicked. Static securing fails under real-world conditions. Dynamic tension adapts. Plus, elastic cord is reusable indefinitely. Rope frays and degrades. Elastic cord just keeps working. Cut it to any length you need. 100 feet becomes 50 different securing points. During the Balkans conflict, elastic cord became premium barter material. People securing shelters, bundling gear, creating adjustable systems. Can't improvise elastic tension with natural materials. Check your garage tonight. If you have pre-made bungee cords, that's different. Get raw elastic cord on a spool. 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch diameter. Buy 100 feet minimum. $25 investment becomes $5,000 collapse value. Weather resistant. Doesn't rot. Works in extreme temperatures. One material solves dozens of securing problems. Next item costs $2. Number 3. Fire extinguisher. That red canister under your kitchen sink or hanging in your garage, the one you bought years ago and never thought about again. $40 at Home Depot. Worth $1,000 when the fire department stops coming. Here's why. House fires in collapse aren't like house fires now. Right now, you call 911. Trucks show up in 7 minutes. Trained crews with thousands of gallons of water put it out. In collapse, you're on your own. One candle tips over. One cooking fire sparks. One electrical short from jury-rigged power. Your shelter burns. Everything you prepped. Gone. And here's what people don't understand about structure fires. They don't start big. They start small. A curtain catches. A towel ignites. You've got maybe 30 seconds before it's too big to stop. That's your window. Back in 2021 during the Texas freeze, I watched a neighbor's house catch fire from a kerosene heater. Small flame at first. He panicked, tried water, made it worse. By the time fire trucks arrived 40 minutes later, entire house was gone. Temperature was 12 degrees. His family lost everything. That's when I realized. Prevention isn't about putting out infernos. It's about stopping the small fire before it becomes the fire that kills you. That $40 extinguisher isn't for burning buildings. It's for the moment right before. The curtain, the towel, the grease fire. Stop it in 5 seconds or lose everything in 5 minutes. Check yours tonight. Look at the pressure gauge. Green means ready. Red means useless. Most people have dead extinguishers and don't know it. Get 3 minimum. ABC rated. 5 to 10 pound size. 1 per floor. When there's no backup coming, you are the backup. Number 4. Nitrile gloves. Those blue disposable gloves you see in every doctor's office. The ones that come in boxes of 100 for about $10 at any pharmacy. Most people walk right past them thinking they're just for medical professionals. Worth $10 to $20 per pair when you're treating wounds in a world where infection kills more people than violence. Here's the thing about collapse that nobody wants to talk about. You're going to be dealing with things you shouldn't be touching with bare hands. Wounds, waste, contaminated surfaces. Sick family members, and one touch, one cut on your hand, one contaminated finger near your face, that's how you die, not from the initial injury, from the infection that follows. I learned this doing disaster relief after Hurricane Katrina. Week 3, medical supplies were running low, but the injuries kept coming. Watched a volunteer treat someone's infected cut without gloves because they'd run out. 3 days later, that volunteer had a fever. 5 days later, he was medivaced out with sepsis. The injured person? Recovered fine. That's when the old-timer medic pulled me aside, said something I'll never forget. Your safety equipment isn't optional. It's what keeps you functional enough to help the next person. These aren't like the latex ones that tear if you look at them wrong. They're chemical-resistant, puncture-resistant. Work in extreme temperatures. Each pair is designed for single use because reusing them defeats the entire purpose. 100 pairs for $10 right now. $10 per pair when sanitation collapses and everyone's scrambling to avoid infection. That's 1,000% return. But more importantly, it's what keeps you healthy enough to take care of your family. Next item everyone's got in their junk drawer. Number 5. Plastic tablecloths. Those cheap plastic sheets from the dollar store, the ones you buy for birthday parties and throw away after. Maybe you've got 3 rolled up under your sink right now, $1.50 each. Worth $200 to $500 when you need waterproof material and there's no more plastic being made. Most people see these as disposable party decorations. What they don't realize is they're looking at one of the most versatile survival materials you can stockpile. Large sheet of waterproof plastic that weighs nothing and folds down to the size of a paperback book. Think about what happens when your tent floor starts leaking at 2 in the morning. Everything you own is getting soaked. Your sleeping bag, your clothes, your food. You're shivering because wet means hypothermia. A dollar store sheet goes under your sleeping bag, and suddenly you're dry. Problem solved in 30 seconds. But here's where it gets interesting. I was doing cold weather training in upstate New York back in 2017. Late November, freezing rain. Guy in our group didn't have proper rain gear. He was about to call it and head home. Someone pulled out one of these, cut a hole for his head. Instant poncho. He stayed dry for 3 days straight. That sheet cost $1.25. Same trip, we used another one as an emergency shelter tarp. Strung it between trees. Kept rain off our gear all night. Next morning, folded it back up. Still good to use. You can't manufacture plastic sheeting without oil refineries and factories. When those shut down, the plastic that exists is all there's going to be. No more coming. Dollar store near you probably has 50 of these right now. Get 20. $15 total. $3,000 when everyone's trying to stay dry and failing. Number 6. Mechanical clock. That old wind-up alarm sitting in your grandparents' house. The kind with the twin bells on top and the key in the back. $15 to $25 at any thrift store. Nobody wants them because their phone does the same thing. Worth $1,000 when coordinating anything requires knowing what time it is and every battery on Earth is dead. Here's what most people don't think about. Time isn't just for waking up. It's how you coordinate, security shifts, meeting points, medicine schedules, work rotations. When you tell someone, meet me in 3 hours, how do they know when 3 hours is up? Your phone's dead, their phone's dead. The power's been out for weeks. Without time coordination, groups fall apart. Guard shows up late. Replacement never comes. Someone's watching the perimeter for 16 hours straight because nobody knows when to switch. That's how mistakes happen. That's how people die. I saw this play out during a disaster response in 2019. Communication systems were down. Everyone had phones but no way to charge them. Team coordination fell apart on day 2. People showing up at wrong times. Missing critical windows. Complete chaos. One guy had a wind-up watch. Suddenly he's the most valuable person on the team. Everyone's checking with him, planning around his timepiece. That $20 watch became mission-critical equipment. And here's the beautiful thing about mechanical timekeepers. They don't care about EMPs, don't care about batteries, don't care about solar flares or grid collapse. Wind them up, they run. Simple springs and gears that have worked for 300 years. The one your grandma has in her closet? It's probably from the 60s. Still keeps perfect time. Will outlast any smart device ever made. Get 3. 1 for you, 2 for trade. Maybe $30 total. When everyone needs to know what time it is and has no way to tell, those become priceless. Number 7. Tongue depressors. Back in 2014, I was on a volunteer medical trip after a flood. Supplies were limited. Every box mattered. That's when I saw a doctor pull out a thin wooden stick, something you'd normally ignore in a clinic. Within hours, I understood. That cheap, flat piece of wood was worth more than half the gear in our packs. Here's the reality. In everyday life, these are throwaway items. You go to the doctor, they press your tongue down, check your throat, toss it in the trash. A box of 500 costs maybe $7. But in a collapse, they become one of the most versatile medical tools you can possibly have. Think about wounds, splinters, makeshift splints for broken fingers, spacers for dressing changes, stir sticks for improvised medicines, sterile applicators for ointments where precision matters, even fire starters when everything else is wet. A stick that weighs nothing, takes no space, suddenly becomes a multi-tool in any survival kit. I remember a medic in Bosnia during the siege saying, "It's not the morphine that saves you long-term, it's the small stuff that keeps the infection away." And he wasn't exaggerating. Imagine you cut your finger processing firewood. No big deal today. In collapse, that infection could take your whole hand. Tongue depressors become sterile tools for cleaning and treating without risking cross-contamination. And here's the kicker: nobody stocks them. Everyone fights for bandages and alcohol. Nobody thinks about the humble wooden stick, which means when systems fail, you'll be the one person who can splint, treat, and improvise without scrambling. $7 today. $1,000 barter box tomorrow. Check your cabinet. If they're not there, add them. The simplest tools are the ones that save you when nothing else can. Number 8. Eyeglass Repair Kit. Back in 2020, I met a man in rural Nebraska during a long-term power outage. He wasn't worried about food or water. He had plenty. What broke him was a screw the size of a grain of sand. His glasses fell apart, and just like that, he couldn't read his maps, fix his gear, or even recognize faces from 20 feet away. One screw, one tiny hinge, and he was functionally blind. That's the part nobody thinks about. We plan for fuel, for food, for fire, but vision? Vision is how you aim, how you build, how you treat wounds, how you read instructions, how you lead. And when that hinge snaps or a lens pops free, you're not replacing glasses. Opticians are gone, supply chains are gone. The smallest failure becomes a massive liability. A basic repair kit, tiny screwdriver, spare screws, a magnifier costs less than $5 today. It weighs nothing, fits in a pocket, and in collapse it becomes precision engineering gear. I saw this firsthand during hurricane cleanup in Louisiana. One of our team's only medic had his frames snap mid-operation. Without them, he couldn't suture. We fixed them with a $2 kit from a gas station. Mission saved. And here's the brutal truth: more than 60% of adults rely on corrective lenses. That means more than half the population is one accident away from losing critical functionality. When that happens, the person holding a handful of screws and a tiny screwdriver becomes indispensable. It's not glamorous, it's not dramatic, but it's one of those tools that quietly separates those who adapt from those who fail. $5 today. A priceless piece of independence tomorrow. Number 9. Stainless steel tweezers. I still remember a field medic in rural Ukraine telling me something that stuck with me for life. He said, "It's not the bullets that kill most people, it's the dirt left inside the wound." That sounds dramatic, but it's true. In a world where hospitals vanish and sterile rooms are a memory, the smallest fragment of debris under your skin can start an infection that ends you. That's where this humble little tool becomes life or death. Most people think of it as something sitting forgotten in a bathroom drawer, maybe used once a year to pull out a splinter. But when the supply chains stop and professional care disappears, it turns into a surgical-grade instrument. It pulls glass from a cut, removes ticks before they spread disease, extracts shrapnel too small for fingers, and keeps wounds clean when infection is the enemy. And here's what most people never consider: infection will kill more people in a collapse than violence ever will. I watched a volunteer during flood recovery ignore a small cut on his ankle. A week later, he could barely walk. The infection spread so quickly he needed IV antibiotics, something you might never see again once the trucks stop rolling. A simple pair of precision tweezers could have prevented the entire chain of events. And they're practically indestructible. Stainless steel doesn't rust, doesn't warp, and doesn't care about time. They weigh nothing, last decades, and cost under $10. Yet in a barter economy where clean wounds mean survival, they'll be traded like gold. Nobody talks about them, nobody stockpiles them. But in the silence after modern medicine collapses, the person who can remove a splinter without breaking the skin becomes the one who keeps people alive. $10 today, a life-saving instrument tomorrow. So here's the truth nobody likes to hear. Survival isn't about bunkers or bullets. It's not the people with the biggest budgets who make it. It's the people who notice the small things before they matter. The ones who saw value hiding in plain sight in a drawer, in a toolbox, in a box shoved under the sink. Those are the people who build futures while everyone else panics. You don't need $1 million. You don't need a hidden compound. What you need is awareness, the kind that turns a $3 tool into a $1,000 lifeline. And if you've watched this far, that means you already have that mindset. You're not like everyone else scrolling past, hoping the system never breaks. You're here because a part of you knows it might, and you're smart enough to prepare before it does. So here's what I want you to do next. Hit that subscribe button right now, because this video was just the beginning. Every week, I share the real strategies that most people overlook, the tools, tactics, and truths that turn ordinary people into the ones who thrive when everything else falls apart. Don't wait until it's too late to start learning. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and join the people who won't just survive the next crisis, they'll own it. Your future self will thank you.